Hello students, welcome to the next session of transistors. Today we will continue our previous discussion. So this is part 6 of BJT. So far we are discussing about bipolar junction transistors. So hopefully today or tomorrow we will able to complete this BJT and we will start with the JFET. So in previous session we discussed about AC load line and we have connected it with DC load line. So these are related with the finalization of an operating point. It will be given on DC load line. We have discussed about it. We have two types of lines. One is DC load line, another one is AC load line. Both can be drawn on the output characteristic graph. Graph we take between the output current and output voltage. Normally we have output current as IC and output voltage as VCE. So today we will discuss about the stabilization and biasing. Before that, let us have a recap about alpha, beta and gamma, what we have discussed in the previous sessions. Now we will look at them in one sequence at one place. So first term is beta. It is the current gain. We normally use it in common emitter configuration. So you have to remember about alpha, beta and gamma with their configuration. Like beta is related with common emitter configuration, alpha is related with common base configuration, and gamma is related with common collector configuration. We have three types of configuration. One is common emitter, common base, second and third one is common collector. And these are given as the output by input. So for common emitter, output is IC and input is IB because emitter is common. So the input terminal will be base, output terminal will be collector. So we take it as beta is equal to IC by IB. Alpha is related with common base. So in that we will take IC by IE. That is output current by input current. Base is common. Here we can see ICO and 0. ICO is the leakage current we have discussed in the previous session. For common base, when we consider the leakage current, we can take this value. Otherwise, we will take it simply as IC by IE. Alpha and beta examples we have seen in previous sessions. These values varies from 0.9 to 0.995. For this, beta changes. Beta is around 50 to 200. Along with that, we have the concept of gamma. Gamma is again the gain, output by input. We have to simply remember alpha, beta and gamma is related with output and output by input. For common collector configuration, collector is common, so this terminal is not specifically for input and output. So for this, the output is IE and input is IB. So gamma will be equal to IE by IB. We have to remember about these alpha, beta and gamma. It may be there in short question or objective type. Let us have one example. We have to find out the collector voltage of the circuit shown in the figure. So in figure we can see we have one VCC, that is supply voltage, and input signal is given at base, that is 5 volts. We have two voltages here. One is the supply voltage VCC, another one is the signal which is at 5 volts. These are given to the transistor. Beta is given as 100 ohms, input resistance is 100k and the collector resistance is 2k. So we have to find out the collector voltage present at this particular place. So for that we need to find out the current present here, IC, right? So we can use the available relation between alphas, betas and we can apply KVL and we can solve this. So for solving this, let us consider base emitter voltage loop. Where is base? There is base and this is emitter. In this loop, our system starts at 5 volt and it goes to the ground. So from 5 volt, we are going to RB. So what is voltage across this? So 5 volt equal to voltage. This 5 volt is dividing from this part to we have to reach to ground. So always remember, when we apply KVL, Kirchhoff's voltage law, we have one higher potential, we have lower potential. Lower potential is ground, right? Higher potential for this particular part. Which part we are talking about? We are talking about base emitter. So we have to consider only base and emitter part. We are not talking about this part right now. We are talking about this input part. So we are starting at 5 volt. This 5 volt will be divided in these parts. So this total 5 volt will be voltage across this one and voltage across this one. So voltage across the RB, what will be? Voltage across RB, V is equal to IR, Ohm's law. So voltage across RB will be equal to IB RB. So here we will write IB RB. And what is voltage across this particular part? Voltage is between the base and emitter. So we will have this thing as VBE, voltage between base and emitter. So that we have to consider here, right? So now let us solve for IB. So what will be IB equal to? IB will be equal to phi minus VBE by RB. So IB will be equal to phi minus VB by RB. We know we have supply voltage phi. VBE is not given here. So we will take the potential barrier value. For silicon it is 0.7. So it is phi minus 0.7 by the resistance is 100. So IB is 0.043. This is our base current. But what we have to calculate? We have to calculate output part. So we will apply KVL to output part. Higher potential is at 10 volt. We have to reach ground. So we will start at 10 volt and we will go to ground, and whatever comes in between, there this voltage will be divided 10 volt. So first voltage drop will be across this resistor, and then there will be voltage drop across this particular terminal. So we have IB, so we can calculate IC from the relation of beta. Beta is output by input. So IC will be equal to, beta is IC by IB. So IC equal to beta into IB. We have beta, we have IB. So we can get the IC, that is 4.3 milliamps. Now we have IC, we have RC, we have VCC. So we can calculate the output voltage. So let us, this 10 volt, this collector voltage will be from this point to this point. In between these 2 points we have collector voltage, because this is only collector terminal. So we need not calculate the remaining VC. This is VC, voltage between collector and emitter. We need to calculate only collector voltage, VC. So VC is 10 minus drop across this resistor. Drop across this resistor is ICRC, that is Ohm's law. V is equal to IR. I is IC, R is RC, because they belong to collector side. So we are calling them as collector current and collector resistance. So from this we get VCS 1.4. Like this we have to solve the problems. Then we have to discuss about band diagrams. Band diagrams we have discussed earlier in the previous sessions when we were discussing about PN junction diode. Band diagram behavior is same. So they depend on the holes and electron concentration. What is concentration? The amount of electrons and holes. Either it is less or more. Either our type is N or P. Intrinsics, let us have discussion about this first left side diagram, where we are talking about intrinsic type. Intrinsic means when there are similar number of electrons. In this intrinsic type, number of N will be equal to number of P, that is number of electrons are equal to number of holes. So in that case, energy levels will be same. Conduction energy, this is energy band diagram. So we calculate the energy levels. You can refer the previous session about PN junction diodes. There we have discussed about the band diagrams in detail. And what is Fermi level? EF is Fermi energy. EC is the conduction band energy. EV is the valence band energy. In short, what we have electrons in the valence band, the outermost band of an atom. From there they go out and start conduction. So these electrons, when they are in valence band, we call that energy as EV, valence electron energy, not of single atom, of the atoms of the entire atoms present in the material. In entire material there may be millions of atoms or trillions of atoms, whatever may be the number, and when they jump from the valence band to conduction, then we call that they are conducting. So that energy of conducting electrons or holes will be EC, conduction energy. For intrinsic type, number of electrons and holes are same. So these energies will lie as it is, and the Fermi energy, the intermediate energy, will be at the center. Similarly, if we talk about N-type, in N-type the majority are electrons. If majority are electrons, there is lot of movement of electron. So many electrons are present in conduction band. So this Fermi level, EF, will be nearer to the EC, that is conduction band, right? Because we have extra electrons here. For N-type, what happens in P-type? In P-type we have extra holes. So extra holes means no conduction, no electron. This side we don't have many electrons, no conduction due to electrons. But we have plenty of holes. This whole energy will increase and Fermi level will tend towards the EV, right? Towards the valence band. So this is about valence band we have to remember. So energy band diagram for our transistor, let us consider NPN transistor. Say we have N-type, P-type and N-type. In equilibrium, when there is no active region, no other regions involved, then we will have something like this. When it is N-type, electrons are more. So this energy level goes like this, the Fermi level. When P-type, the holes are more, so Fermi level will be like this. Again N side, Fermi level will be near to the EC. Fermi level will be near to base only when it only to base because it is the P-type. You can see this distance. This is near to the P-type Fermi level. For P region, for N region, emitter is N, collector is N, both of them are N. So EF is near here. In emitter, there will be more doping. If you remember, there is more doping, N++. More number of electrons are here. So this will be more closer. So like this, you have to remember energy band diagram for a transistor, say NPN transistor. So if it is active mode, now here you can see this is the Fermi level here. So this Fermi level is like this. In emitter N side, it is near to the conduction band. For P side, it is near to the P-type, and again collector, it is near to the collector side. So this you have to remember. What is active region? Active region, input side should be forward bias, output side should be reverse bias. Input side is emitter base, output side is collector base. So I hope energy band diagrams are simple to remember. Everyone shall remember energy band diagrams precisely, very properly. It is very important concept. Then why we do transistor analysis? If you remember this diagram, we have discussed it as an amplifier where we give small input voltage. What is amplifier? Small input voltage, small voltages are involved at input side. At output we get large amount of voltage because there is transfer of resistance. Input side is forward bias and output side is reverse bias. That's why we get this particular transfer. Transistor as an amplifier we have discussed in the first session, you can go back and refer that topic. Along with this, we require some kind of biasing. That means the connection of the battery voltages and the connection of appropriate resistors. We have to take care of them. Why? Because say input voltage should be small. We are increasing the small input voltage to the higher values, right? That is amplification. If we have weak signal, we have to enhance it to the higher level of values. But what if the value is very small? Because input side is say PN type. This is say NPN transistor. So what is here? IE is N side, base is P side, and again this one is N side. So this is NP. P is connected to positive type from here, and this N is connected to negative side. So this is becoming forward bias. But in forward bias, if you remember the diode, we require the minimum amount of voltage to break the potential barrier. Without any external battery, we have 0.7 volt. We call it as the wall, the barrier. So when we exceed our voltage more than the potential barrier, then only it will be on. So it is also called as the cut-in voltage. Minimum amount of voltage we should exceed more than this value to make transistor on, right? And it should be in active region to make it as an amplifier. What is active region? Input side forward bias, output side reverse bias. Now we have to discuss stabilization. Stabilization is very important concept. We have to stabilize our device. Stabilization, the normal meaning, this is a normal meaning which is available as an English language. Stabilization is a noun. It is the process of making something physically secure and stable. So stabilization techniques we use to stabilize our system, right? So if it is a transistor and our function is amplification, then he must operate in the region where he can work as an amplifier. We have to balance it because it depends on the Q point. Q point is somewhere on the load line. If it goes above or down, which we don't want, then what will happen? We will not get amplification. We need to stabilize our system. It is like balancing, right? So what is here in stabilization? It's like if you play some bicycle. If you are learning bicycle, we have to balance it. If we are in motion, then we should take care whether we are moving left or right, or if we don't balance, it will fall down. Once we know the balance, without worrying about, we can get the proper riding. So what we do in stabilization? In stabilization, various factors affect the operating point. It is also called as the Q point. The Q point which is available on the load line. Say my point is here, somewhere here, Q point is here. Here, if I keep this point here, then only it will work as an amplifier. If they depend on the current values, right? And leakage current will play some role here to disturb this particular point. If we increase the temperature by some means, then if temperature increases, what will happen? The values will get affected because the ICBO, the leakage current, the collector current when base is open, gets doubled for every 10 degrees rise. That means your leakage current is increasing, current is changing, it will change the other values, and then you will shift the Q point and the device will not be amplifier anymore. And similarly, for every 1 degree rise, the VB, the base voltage, decreases by 2.5 millivolts. So these parameters will affect the stabilization. It will not give us the amplification in proper way, in desired way. We want the bigger signal at output. If input is smaller, so if input signal is smaller, we need output signal as large value, but we have to stabilize it due to various effects of leakage current. So in stabilization, what we have to remember, It is the process of making operating point independent of temperature. And what temperature do? Temperature gets affected due to the leakage current. Leakage current gets disturbed due to the temperature. You increase the temperature, the electrons get more energy. They release more electrons. They get more energy and more electrons will come out of the atoms for the flow. So overall current will increase. So if we have to achieve stabilization, we need to, what is our need? First thing, the temperature dependence, IC will change, that is our output current. Individual variation, this is another parameter. It depends on the manufacturing defects. In manufacturing, the beta value of the transistor is not same. For every transistor, the value may be different. This is a mass production. In one batch, there may be production of thousands and thousands of transistors in companies. So in that, if you pick up various transistors, the beta value is not same for all of them. So it comes under the individual variation. What is thermal runaway? We will discuss in the next slide. But here what we have, the point in this slide we are discussing is about the temperature. You increase the temperature, more electrons will increase, electrons goes up, that means current goes up because current is nothing but flow of electron. Current goes up, that means resistance goes down. Here resistance is going down with increment in the temperature. So temperature dependence we have to control if we want our circuit to work on the specific currents and voltages. Then we have to make our circuit independent of temperature. So for this, the background, you have to refer the leakage currents and breakdowns in PN junction diode. I will share the link of this in description of the previous classes. You can go through them for more details of this topic, right? So let us continue about stabilization. Now we'll discuss the thermal runaway. What is thermal runaway? If the collector current and the leakage current, they are increasing the heat, right? Temperature is increasing, they are increasing more number of electrons. More number of electrons are, if they get more amount of kinetic energy, they bombard on another atoms, they will release additional electrons, and all of them will keep on releasing more and more electrons. That particular flow will also increase the heat. It will increase the heat. Now if it goes beyond the limit, the condition we usually call as the breakdown. If it is unbiased transistor, we are not giving proper condition for stabilization, and if it gets damaged, then the condition will be called as thermal runaway, right? So to avoid that, we have to keep the value of IC constant. So we have to see how to keep it constant. For that we require biasing conditions. So stability factor is given by S, and they primarily depend on the leakage current and constant beta. So the stability factor and biasing we will discuss in next session. Till then, have a good day. Most probably next session we'll try to complete this BJT part. Have a good day.